week on Healthy Living, Cape Verde has reached a malaria-free milestone. We'll have more. Experts and residents reflect on Cape Verde's remarkable success in eradicating malaria. And researchers in Kenya have heightened surveillance of mosquitoes to address climate change challenges. These stories and more in this edition of Healthy Living. Hello, I'm Linor Moudou. Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. It is a significant milestone for global health. The World Health Organization has certified Cape Verde as malaria-free. The nation becomes the third country in the African region to achieve certification, following Mauritius in 1973 and Algeria in 2019. Malaria is a mosquito-borne infectious disease caused by the Plasmodium falciparum. WHO estimates that malaria killed 608,000 people worldwide and infected 250 million in 2022, most of them African children under 5. Observers say Cape Verde, an archipelago of 10 islands in the central Atlantic Ocean, have faced severe epidemics in densely populated areas in the past. According to the WHO, the country has gone 3 consecutive years without local malaria transmission and also had to demonstrate the ability to prevent the re-establishment of transmission to be certified malaria-free. 43 countries and 1 territory have now been certified as malaria-free by the WHO. We asked the experts and residents in Cape Verde's capital, Praia, to share their thoughts on the country's successful fight against malaria. Take a look.
It's a feeling of pride, a feeling of great satisfaction, because it's been years of working towards this goal. It's been years of effort by a lot of teams involved, a lot of people involved. For us, clinicians, doctors, this pathology is a challenge. And so treating this disease, taking care of it until we are sure that this person is out of risk and that we are not going to lose this person, is a challenge until the end. When a person has malaria here in Cape Verde, it's not just them who are treated and followed up, but their whole community.
I've never had malaria, but I know of family members who've had it, and it has affected them in a way that has been going on for some time. They had very serious symptoms and were hospitalized at the time.
With this certificate that we have obtained today, it's an added value for us, but it also shows us a certain security and draws attention not to leave it because we have already had this certificate, to continue fighting, to put an end to everything, to continue in our neighborhoods, in our workplaces, to continue doing the groundwork, everything we have been doing to date.
Dr. Dorothy Achu is team lead for Tropical and Vector-Borne Diseases in the WHO Regional Office for Africa. She discusses some steps and measures that resulted in Cape Verde's elimination of malaria.
The Cape Verde just completed a strategy for elimination of malaria. So it takes, the determination to get to 0 cases. And once a country adopts that kind of policy, it means they are ready to mobilize the resources that it takes in terms of scaling up the right set of interventions, in terms of strengthening the follow-up of cases, what we call surveillance. Surveillance is really tracking down all cases, making sure they are identified early and treated with very effective medication. But not only that, also looking at the vectors that transmit the parasite from one person to another, the mosquitoes. So there's been a lot of work in understanding the distribution of the mosquitoes, their behavior, and the choice of interventions. Cabo Verde has been involved in a lot of spraying, mass campaigns of spraying, and reducing the mosquito density, and also now getting to fight resistance and trying to get the right interventions to eliminate the malaria vectors. So they have reduced the vectors, the density of vectors, but most importantly, they have eliminated the parasites from the vectors. So you can have mosquitoes, but you no longer have the parasites because they are no longer circulating in the country. We have been looking at the statistics in the region, and they are quite disturbing. They are disturbing because in terms of cases, the cases have been increasing rather than decreasing. Nonetheless, we have a few countries which are like Cabo Verde, targeted for elimination. We have about 6 of the countries in Africa. They're among the 25 countries globally that have been identified as being able to eliminate malaria by 2025. That is the end of next year. So we have countries like with low transmission. We can cite Botswana, Eswatini, South Africa, those countries. And there's even an island countries such as Sao Tome, Principe, Comoros. Those are countries with low cases, with low number of deaths, and they are on a very good path to also eliminate malaria. And they can learn from Cabo Verde what they did.
Now to Kenya, where at least 10,000 people die of malaria each year, according to the US-based Center for Disease Control. The World Health Organization says rising global temperatures resulting in extreme weather events such as heat waves and flooding can influence the behavior and survival of the malaria-carrying Anopheles mosquito. Researchers in the East African country are stepping up efforts to control the health impact of mosquitoes.
Wilson Mutai describes malaria as destructive and lethal. Recently, the 76-year-old farmer and businessman was diagnosed with the disease at a hospital in Isiolo. The hospital did not have any medication to treat him. That prompted him to hire a private doctor to treat him at his house.
You can go to hospital. They will take you to the ward and probably there is no medicine. When I was informed the hospital had no medicine and I witnessed it, I went back home where I got treated. My friend passed away due to malaria because he could not get any treatment. In 2 to 3 days, without treatment, you are dead. This malaria is lethal.
Like Mutai, Kelvin Nkomba, a 25-year-old nursing intern, was diagnosed with malaria and had to pay for treatment.
Malaria affected much my immunity, so I had to readjust my diet by digging deep down my pockets in terms of boosting my immunity. And in terms of the medication weren't available at the facility, so I had to even dig more deeper in the pocket in terms of accessing medication.
The International Livestock and Research Institute, ILRI, and Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, have partnered with Zoonotic Disease Unit to study how climate change affects the population and species of mosquitoes and disease transmission pattern by vectors. ILRI set up weather stations in different locations to monitor weather patterns.
The reason why we've set up a weather station in this area to be able to capture the different environmental conditions like temperature, like humidity, like wind speed and wind direction, to be able to really relate how these different components of climate could be influencing the population of vectors and also could be influencing the disease trends that we are seeing around here. So other than the weather station, we are also trapping mosquitoes in this region, and we are monitoring the population of mosquitoes during different times of the year. We are monitoring the pathogens that the mosquitoes are carrying.
Willis Akwele, a senior advisor for Kenya Malaria Council, says the recent heavy rainfall, which is attributed to the climatic phenomenon El Nino, create stagnant waters that become breeding grounds for mosquitoes and that could lead to an increase of vector-borne diseases, including malaria.
With increasing temperature, with increasing amount of rainfall and humidity, there is more breeding. There are more breeding sites, and there is therefore a high chance of transmission of vector-borne diseases like malaria, like dengue, like Rift Valley fever, and chikungunya. And with this, therefore, you are likely to see increased cases of these diseases. And in an area like northern Kenya that is not very well developed in terms of health infrastructure, there will be a strain on the health system. There will be many cases reported, there will be more people admitted, they could easily run out of supplies.
In 2021, the World Health Organization endorsed the first malaria vaccine in what it described as, quote, a historic effort to end the devastating toll the mosquito-transmitted disease has on Africa, home to most of the world's estimated 200 million cases and 400,000 deaths. In studies, it was about 30% effective. This year, the WHO also endorsed a second malaria vaccine called R21 Matrix M. Research suggests the 3-dose vaccine is more than 75% effective and that protection from malaria is maintained for at least another year with a booster. Both vaccines are expected to be rolled out in several African countries in 2024.
Now to Taiwan, where researchers are using a special robot to hunt mosquitoes that carry the virus that causes dengue fever. From the southern city of Kaohsiung, Shelley Slender has our story.
The World Health Organization says dengue fever is the world's fastest-growing mosquito-borne disease. In Taiwan, health officials here in the city of Kaohsiung are teaming up with local technology firm Geosat to develop this little robot to hunt dengue mosquitoes inside narrow underground rainwater ditches.
We can use the machine to find the hiding breeding source.
The robot is on the lookout for wiggly mosquito larvae like these. Kaohsiung health officials have long urged residents to drain potted plants and tires, anything holding water where mosquitoes can breed. Officials used to not worry about insects breeding in the ditches back when they carried household sewage, which dengue mosquitoes do not like.
Before, the water in these ditches used to be dirtier, more smelly. Since the introduction of the new sewer system, it has become cleaner. But ironically, this is when the problem started to arise.
Dengue-carrying mosquitoes prefer laying their eggs in the cleaner water.
Mosquitoes are like human mothers. They want their children to grow up in their ideal environment.
A mosquito-catching gravitrap shows this street has a high dengue mosquito population, and beneath this rainwater drain there are puddles and larvae.
We can now put the machine in the ditch.
Into the narrow tunnel creeps the robot. When it finds puddles, technicians mark the spot on a ditch database, so the health department will know where to blast insecticides to kill mosquito larvae and steam to kill eggs. Kaohsiung Mayor Chen Chi-mai says city health officials are working with Geosat developers on the next generation of dengue fever robot.
New technology application will change the strategy of prevention.
Improvements include enabling the robot to spray insecticides and steam on its own, and to use artificial intelligence to identify the mosquitoes that carry the virus that causes dengue fever. They plan to also use robots to release lab-borne mosquitoes containing biological controls that prevent future generations from transmitting dengue fever. Shelley Schlender, VOA News, Kaohsiung, Taiwan.
That's our show for today. For more health news, wellness tips, and medical breakthroughs, stay connected to Voice of America at voaafrica.com. You can follow me on X at Linor Mudu. Until next time, stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.